There is a problem that looks like a house problem, and a problem that looks like a money problem, and a problem that looks like a college problem. Most of them are not those things. Most of them are something else, something that does not have a clean name, something that gets attached to a house or a number or a tuition bill, because those things are real and concrete and possible to solve. And the thing underneath them is harder. The thing underneath them requires a different kind of conversation, the kind most people have never had or don't know how to start. Tonight, 3 stories. 3 problems that looked like one thing and were another. 3 solutions that were right for the surface and missed the thing underneath. The first story starts with a calendar. Not a school calendar, a pregnancy calendar. March of 2001, the ultrasound, the technician's face going quiet for a moment, and then the words, 3 heartbeats. Her name was Sarah. She was 31. She had been prepared for twins. Her family had twins. She had read about twins. She was not prepared for 3. She lay on a table for a while after, looking at the ceiling. Her husband held her hand. He said, "It's okay." She said, "I know." He said, "We'll figure it out." She said, "I know." Then she said, 3 college tuitions, same year. He said, "We have 18 years." She said, "We're going to need all of them." She remembers the drive home. Her husband was driving. She was looking out the window. Her brain had started doing the calculation in the background. 3 children, 18 years until college. What would 3 tuitions cost in the same year? She thought about her own parents, who had not gone to college, who had wanted her to go, who had put aside $40 a month from the time she was born. $40 a month for 18 years, which had been enough for 1 semester, which had meant everything. She thought about what $800 a month for 18 years might look like. She did not need a calculator. She knew it would be something. She knew something was better than nothing. She knew 18 years was enough time if she started now. They started the following month. They put in $400 a month for the first 2 years, then $600, then $800 when his income went up. Every bonus went in, every tax refund. Every year they looked at the balance and adjusted. They did not take vacations in the early years. They drove older cars. They stayed in the house that was smaller than they wanted, not because they had to, because 3 tuitions, same year. In 2019, all 3 children started college. 3 different schools, 3 different tuitions, 1 year. The combined cost was $94,000. The 529 had $287,000 in it. 3 full rides with $99,000 left over. Here's what Sarah's story is actually about. Not the 529, the 18 years before it. The decision made in March of 2001, that the problem was visible, that the problem had a timeline, that every year of inaction was a year of compound interest not earned. Most financial problems are not surprises. They are appointments. They are on the calendar. You can see them coming. The question is whether you look. Start now. That is the entire calculation. Start now. The second story starts with a different kind of appointment. Not on any calendar. A Tuesday in February. His wife asked him for a divorce. His name was Dave. He lived in Massachusetts. He had been married for 22 years. He had a daughter who was 16. He had a college fund for her. $47,000. He remembers the night he knew. Not the night he found out something specific. The night he knew. They were sitting at the dinner table. Their daughter was 14. She was talking about something from school. He was watching his wife's face, and he knew. Not from anything she said, from the way she didn't look at him. He sat at that table and knew. He did not say anything. He went to bed. He lay in the dark for a long time. He thought about his daughter. He thought about the college fund. He thought about what he should do. He did not do it. He told himself he was probably wrong. He told himself things would get better. He told himself there was still time. There was. He just didn't use it. The college fund had $47,000 in it. He had started it when she was born. $100 a month for 16 years. He had never thought about where the money came from. It came from the same place everything came from. The joint account. The divorce took 14 months. The attorney fees were $38,000. The settlement required him to liquidate some assets. The college fund was an asset. His attorney advised him to keep it separate. His wife's attorney noted it existed. In the end, he kept $31,000 of it. $16,000 went into the settlement calculation. Not taken, counted, factored, in the algebra of what was his and what was hers. A 529 account in a child's name, funded by a non-custodial parent, is not a marital asset. It is a gift. It cannot be divided. It cannot be counted. He did not know this in the 4 years when he could have acted on it. He knows it now. His daughter knows it now. She is paying back $67,000 to prove it. He is at peace with it, mostly. He says the hardest part was not the money. The hardest part was knowing for 4 years and choosing not to know. There is always still time until there isn't. The third story is Elizabeth's. You know her already. 54. Youngest left for college. Wanting to downsize. Husband wanting to stay. 18 months of the same conversation about the house. Here is what Elizabeth was actually asking for. Not a smaller house, less to carry. The house is still the same house. It has been the same house for 18 months of the same conversation. The conversation about the house has mostly stopped. The conversation underneath the house has never started. She had spent 28 years as the person who noticed everything, who remembered everything, who managed everything. The house was the most visible version of the weight. But the weight was not the house. The weight was the system, the invisible system that had her name on it, that had always had her name on it, that nobody had ever offered to share, that she had never asked anyone to share, because asking felt like complaining, because complaining felt ungrateful, because she loved her family, and loving her family meant carrying the system. She tried to explain it to a friend last year. They were walking. A friend asked how things were. She said, fine. A friend said, how are things really? She said she was tired. A friend said, of what? She tried to explain the system, the invisible system, the tracking, the remembering, the appointments that lived in her head and nobody else's. The things that would not happen if she didn't make them happen. Her friend listened. Then she said, have you told him? She said, not exactly. Her friend said, what have you told him? She said she had told him she wanted a smaller house. Her friend was quiet for a moment. Then she said, that's not the same thing. She said, I know. They walked for a while. Then her friend said, what would happen if you put some of it down? She said she didn't know. She had never tried. Her friend said, maybe that's the experiment, not the house. She thought about that for a long time. She is still thinking about it. The house is still the same house. She is still carrying the same weight. But she has a different word for it now. The system. She did not know the word before. Now she has it. And having it means she might be able to say it out loud to him on a Tuesday evening when the dishwasher is running and the house is full of the kind of quiet that means there might be room for the right question. She is working up to it, one day at a time. She wasn't asking for less house. She was asking for someone to notice the weight and ask her about it. Not the house, the weight. 3 stories, 3 timelines, 3 versions of the same choice. See the problem, have the conversation, act on the timeline, or don't. Sarah did. Her children graduated without debt. She drove an older car for 18 years to make that possible. She would do it again. She says there was nothing complicated about what she did. She just didn't look away from the calendar. Dave didn't. He is at peace with it. Mostly. He says the hardest part was not the money. The hardest part was knowing for 4 years and choosing not to know. Elizabeth is still deciding. Every morning she wakes up in the same house, makes the same coffee, carries the same system. And somewhere in the back of her head, the question her friend asked, what would happen if you put some of it down? She doesn't know yet. She is going to find out. The financial problem is almost never the real problem. The financial problem is the version of the real problem that has a number attached to it. Because numbers are easier to talk about than feelings. Because a 529 balance is easier to discuss than fear. Because a house price is easier to debate than exhaustion. Because a college fund is easier to move than a marriage. The number gives the conversation somewhere to land, so it lands on the number, and the thing underneath goes unaddressed. Sarah let the number force the conversation. In March of 2001, in a car, on the way home from an ultrasound. She did not wait for the number to force it 18 years later. She made the number the reason to have the conversation now. That is the entire difference. Not intelligence, not resources, not luck. The willingness to look at the calendar and have the conversation before the deadline arrives, before the number forces it, before the timeline runs out, before the only choice left is to pay for what you didn't do when you still had time. 3 stories. 1 lesson. See the timeline. Have the conversation before the number forces it. That is the only instruction. That is the entire thing.